Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Kay. I'm a clinical psychology doctoral student at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology at Washington, D.C., as well as the lead author of this project.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rob Cooper, Associate Professor of Landscape Architecture from Temple University.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Becker. I'm an Associate Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience at Lawrence University.
In this study, we estimate the carbon dioxide emissions from the 2018 Society for Neuroscience Annual Meeting. In 2020, Aaron and colleagues suggested that delegates' air travel yields tens of thousands of tons of carbon dioxide. We provide recommendations to meet the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's emissions reduction goal.
The Society for Neuroscience Annual Meeting is one of the largest medical meetings in the United States, averaging just over 30,000 attendees. Since the first meeting in 1971, SfN hosted most often in San Diego and Washington, D.C., both of these locations requiring cross-country air travel for most attendees. The Society's environmental commitment, shown here, includes purchasing wind power, mass transit at the annual meeting, and using convention centers with commitments to sustainable practices. SfN's travel emissions likely far exceed these reductions, however. Studies show conference-related travel accounts for 80% of environmental impact. Therefore, decarbonization is necessary. SfN may soon choose hybrid or virtual conferencing models, which also addresses diversity and inclusion.
Located on the SfN website were links to each of the presenters' abstracts, including affiliated organization and residents. We used two carbon calculators to estimate emissions to and from San Diego. We determined presenters traveled by car 2 hours or less, whereas all others flew. We sorted our dataset by emissions weight and removed 10, 25, and 50% of presenting authors who traveled the farthest and emitted the most.
For alternative meeting scenarios, we estimated travel-related emissions to authors' nearest hubs using Great Circle distances, which we multiplied by the emission rates from Jungluth and Meili in 2019. Our first scenario spread hubs across the globe. We assumed some authors would travel by train to Philadelphia, Munich, and Beijing. Our second scenario distributed hubs based upon where authors were concentrated. We calculated virtual meeting emissions twice, with 12,761 authors and 28,691 registrants. We assumed that the 3% of authors who originated from the San Diego area did not require hotel stays. So we multiplied emissions per night of stay by 4 nights and the number of 2018 authors and registrants, excluding locals. The City of San Diego Department of Sustainability provided total greenhouse gas emissions for the convention center.
Our dataset included 12,761 unique presenting authors who originated from 69 countries. The majority of the presenting authors traveled from within the United States, Europe, and Asia, and therefore were responsible for most of the travel-related emissions. Over 10,000 of the presenters were affiliated with the university or college, making this category responsible for most of the travel emissions. Our estimations show that travel emissions made up the largest portion of total emissions. According to SfN's environmental commitment, they will host in San Diego, Washington, D.C., or Chicago. Travel emissions to San Diego were higher than those to D.C. and Chicago for presenting authors alone and after extrapolating emissions to the 28,691 registrants.
Scenarios with between 2 and 7 hubs decreased travel-related emissions 30 to 77% relative to the mean of the 3 business-as-usual locations. We estimated potential impacts from SfN emissions, like the area of September Arctic sea ice lost, the 1,800 acres needed to sequester emissions with 1.66 million 3-inch caliper sugar maple trees, and excess temperature-related deaths between now and 2100. Finally, laborers will need longer, more frequent breaks to avoid heat exhaustion in a warmer future, thereby decreasing labor productivity, which may contribute to migration. We focused on agricultural workers in Mexico, which is shy of the median GDP loss in Chevalier and others in 2019. Please see the citations shown.
Our analyses indicate that the Society for Neuroscience must take action to attenuate future emissions. We strongly discourage carbon offsets and instead suggest 3 scenarios to reduce emissions by 45%. SfN could incentivize the highest emitting registrants to attend virtually, or meet at in-person hub locations and connect virtually, or meet biennially. Only a virtual conference would reduce almost 100% of emissions. Thanks to all who helped with data entry, and to the Philip V. and Lois S. Florek Revocable Trust for the support of this work. And finally, thanks to all of you for engaging in this important conversation.